I've helped more than 1,300 therapists and practitioners grow their coaching businesses, and today I'm going to share with you the 4-step model to help you attract more clients into your private practice as a therapist. Now, my name is Yuri Elkaim. I'm the CEO and founder of Healthpreneur. We help health practitioners and therapists grow thriving coaching businesses without the grind. And right now, if you're watching this, you probably want a better marketing strategy to get clients coming into you who are willing to pay you premium prices and potentially be open to working and helping your clients without solely relying on one-on-one. Now, I understand as a therapist, you might be like, Yuri, how's that even possible? It goes against my license, all this kind of stuff. I get that, and we'll address some of that. I also want to let you know, I've been at this for 20 years, and never once in my life have we had any issues with licensing or whatever. So please don't allow those little technicalities get in the way of you helping more people and making a lot more money in the service of others. Okay, I just wanted to kind of preface by saying all that stuff is so insignificant in the grand scheme of things. And a lot of these governing bodies kind of use that slap on the wrist to just, keep you playing small. Anyways, so whether you're using something like, Psychology Today or any of these other platforms to bring clients in, all of that stuff is fine. But the challenge is, how do you bring people in to your world to potentially working with you in such a way where they're primed, they're pre-qualified, and they're more likely to want to work with you? In today's day and age, trust is a very, very important thing. It's actually at a premium, right? There's more skepticism than ever before. According to the trust index, we're at a 40-year all-time low. So what can we do to build that trust? Today, I'm going to share with you what we have used in our business to go from 0 to multiple 8 figures. And how we've helped more than 1,300 practitioners and therapists generate more than $217 million in their businesses, helping hundreds of thousands of their clients to better health. We're on a mission to transform the lives of 1 billion people on this planet. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but it's going to happen by helping you build a better business so collectively we can all reach more people. So I'm going to walk you through the model. So first thing we do, if we look on the screen here, we have a 4-step model. We call this the perfect client pipeline. So let me just draw this out for you. So perfect client pipeline. This is a pipeline that attracts perfect clients. That's the whole premise of this. Now, the one thing before I dive into this, what I want you to think about, when I'm thinking of marketing, I think of it like a funnel. So think of a funnel as like a sieve, whatever the thing's called. When you're making pasta, right? You put pasta in the sieve, you let the water out, and it drains all the water out, so only the pasta is left. It's very similar with a marketing funnel. You don't actually want everyone to come through your marketing funnel, right? So for instance, if we look at, let's say this is 100 people, right? What's going to happen is you'll have 70 here, 40 here, 10 here. And that's okay, right? Because the whole purpose is to filter people out so that only the best possible people, when I say best people, I mean best, most qualified individuals for you to help, are at the lowest bottom part of the funnel. And this is where people are willing to pay you money for you to work with them or for them to work with you. What you don't want to do, because you're busy enough as it is to waste all of your time talking with people who don't want to do anything about their situation, right? And the reason this is so important is because, listen, in private practice, maybe right now you're getting people coming in from word of mouth, right? You have a doctor that they refer patients over to you. Awesome. You just kind of sit down, people fall in your lap. But if you actually want to scale your business and you actually want to have control of your future, you need to have a system that you can literally throttle back and forth to have predictable growth. Because if you only rely on referrals, you have no control over your future. You're literally relying on hopefully other people just sending patients your way. So what I'm going to share with you here is going to give you that control. It's going to give you that sense of, oh, cool. I could actually push this button and more flow comes through and I could have more people come through the whole pipeline. Yeah, that's the idea. So first things first. So number one thing we have to look at is there are 2 components. We have traffic and we have conversions. So traffic is, well, let me backtrack for a second. There's a couple reasons. There's 4 reasons people are not going to work with you. Number 1, they don't know you exist. And that really is a traffic problem. What I mean by that is you're not getting enough eyeballs, you're not getting enough reach or impressions or people coming into your world, mostly because they don't know you exist. And it really doesn't matter how good you are if no one knows who you are. That's problem numero uno that everyone has to fix. And it's one of the biggest frustrations that health professionals and therapists face Because you could be as smart as you want, but it doesn't matter if no one knows you even exist. So traffic is really important. So that's the first reason. The second reason is, okay, maybe they do know you exist, but they don't actually understand what it is you offer or what it is you do. So I think, to be honest, a lot of therapists are actually not too bad at this. Like if I'm looking at someone's Instagram profile or their website, it's pretty clear. Like I help women with depression. Like, cool, awesome, that's clear. But a lot of times it's still pretty vague, right? So not understanding what you do is a big issue for many, many practitioners. And again, I share this because, listen, like I started off in the health space. I went to school for kinesiology and health sciences and nutrition, and I was never taught any of this stuff. Like I never learned anything about business or marketing. I'm sure you didn't either, right? DSM-4, you probably know it from start to finish. But when it comes to marketing and messaging, probably not your forte. And that's okay. It's frustrating, but it's not your fault, right? Because you've only done the best you can do with what you know. So that's the second thing. The third reason is maybe they do understand what it is you do, but they don't want what it is you have to offer. So like, yeah, clear, I understand what it is you do, but I actually don't want what it is you offer. Or number 4, they don't trust you. So those 4 components really feed into the traffic piece and the conversions. The conversions, if I'm being honest, is probably the most important thing, because if you have a conversion problem, you will always have a traffic problem. But if you improve your conversions, like if you bring in more people, right, into your world and more of them take out their credit card and give it to you and pay you money to work with, you now have less of a conversion problem. And when you don't have a conversion problem, then you can drive as much traffic as humanly possible. And I'll show you how we do that. So when we look at traffic, there's a couple different ways, right? You can get organic, right? So social media, you can post videos like this on YouTube, you have a podcast, you could do summits, you could be on, a guest on TV shows. I was on Dr. Oz and the Doctors and all that kind of stuff. All of those are ways of getting visible, right? Becoming visible. The challenge is that only one of them is predictable, okay? So for context, my first business that I started online in 2005, it took me 7 years to make my first $1 million. And the reason it took me so long was because I mostly relied on organic content. And content's amazing, but it just takes forever to get going. It's a very important piece to the business in the long term. But if you actually want to bring clients in and start making money now or grow your revenue, it's going to take a very, very long time. So that was 7 years. When I started Healthpreneur, I went from 0 to 7 figures. So I went from 0 to $1 million in 7 weeks. And the difference there was I was using, and I still use, advertising. So advertising, think of it as a message that you simply put money behind so that it's shown to more people. That's all it is. So what advertising does is it guarantees visibility, right? Content, like if I create this video, I don't know how many people are going to see this. It could be tens of thousands, it could be hundreds, it could be millions. There's no way of guaranteeing the visibility of content, and that's challenging sometimes, especially when you want to grow and scale and have some degree of predictability in your business. With advertising, if I put a message together in front of, like, let's say I want to put a message like, hey, therapists, like, stop wasting your time doing this, do this instead. And I put some money behind that, $50, $100, $1,000 a day, whatever the budget is. Now, when I say advertising, I'm talking about Meta, so Facebook and Instagram. What's going to happen there is I'm guaranteeing visibility. Facebook will say, okay, cool, you're going to give us $500 and we will guarantee you this number of impressions or this number of eyeballs to see your stuff. And that is a very, very nice proposition, okay? So advertising is one of those, think of it like you have a digital salesperson or many digital salespeople working for you 24/7, just spreading your message. It's like door-to-door knocking, but in a digital format. And it's the most effective way to get you, even if you have no following, seen by the right people. Now, what advertising doesn't do is it doesn't guarantee conversions, right? It guarantees visibility, and that's why the next piece to this is very important, which is your messaging and your offer. So from your ad, well, what do, right? Think about, we're not just going to put an ad up for the sake of putting an ad up. There has to be a call to action, an invitation for some next step. In our case, what we use is, and what we do with our clients, is we create a masterclass, online training, webinar, whatever you want to label it as. And here, what the power of the masterclass is, if we go back to this example, The goal with marketing is very much like the Marines have a slogan, which is, if you want the most, make it easy. If you want the best, make it hard. And some people say, hey, Yuri, people are busy these days. They don't have time to watch a webinar. Well, quite honestly, they have a lot of time to watch my YouTube videos or Netflix or read a book or whatever it is. The reality is, people, we all have time for things that are important to us, right? I spend about 15 hours a week driving and sitting in my kids' soccer practices. Okay, do I have time for that? Yeah, because it's important, right? So in life, we also have time for things that are a must. And so if you're thinking, well, no one's got time to watch a 45-minute masterclass, well, they do if they actually want to solve their problem. And the beautiful thing about this is it weeds people away. So the people that are not qualified or committed or serious, they're like, well, I'm not going to watch it. I'm out of here. Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay? And that's the point of this, because again, you're busy as it is. You don't need more people in your calendar. You need the right people on your calendar who are willing to pay you premium dollars for your awesomeness, right? So we're not using like one-page cheat sheets or little PDF downloads where no one does anything on the back end of those. I can't tell you how many clients that have come into our world have done stuff like that. And like, yeah, like, I mean, I've run ads, I've done the PDF lead magnet. I'm like, cool. Like, what's the conversion rate on the back end of those? Like, how many of those leads actually convert into paying clients? They're like, well, like, not a lot of them. They're like tire kickers. I'm like, exactly. You get what you pay for. So in the world of marketing, like, let's say we're running ads, and I'll just give you an example. So for a PDF, like a downloadable lead magnet, let's say to the general consumer average person, you're paying $1 for a lead. It's like, oh my God, that's amazing. $1 for a lead, I'll do that forever. Maybe. However, if you run ads to a masterclass, maybe you pay $5 for a lead. So 5 times more expensive for a lead. And you might say, well, that sounds crazy. Why would I pay 5 times as much? Well, the difference is that you get what you pay for in life, almost in every single area, at least in my experience, other than wine, right? Like wine is, I don't drink it, but like probably the only place you can get away with a good $20 bottle instead of a $900 bottle. But everything else, like you get what you paid for. So if you get cheap leads, those leads don't lead to much. So the purpose of the masterclass is actually to put more friction up front so that people take the next step, and only the right people take the next step. So we do have many therapists who run ads on Meta, Instagram, both. We also have a lot of them who actually use Psychology Today as their main traffic source, right? Because they have a profile and so forth. And a lot of times they're driving traffic from Psychology Today into their masterclass. So it's a beautiful way of, if you had a lemonade stand or a billboard on the side of the road, that's the traffic source. Where people go from there is not right onto your calendar, unless you want to waste your time. It's into the masterclass. And in that masterclass, you're literally dissecting how you deconstruct and how you see this problem, whatever the problem is, right? Whether it's, anxiety, depression, whatever the issue is you help people with, right? So they're watching this, and now they're going to be more bought into your philosophy. And they're going to think to themselves, this person has added some value to my life. They've given me something like to think about in a different way, some clarity around this problem that I haven't thought about before. And because they're in this kind of container of like this funnel, they're more engaged in the process. So from the masterclass, we invite people to take the next step, which is to book a call with you. And so essentially they're going to fill out an application, and that application needs to be done in a very specific manner with the right sequence of questions. Otherwise, you're just going to waste your time with people just blowing through and get on your calendar. And the final part is a call. So when I talk about conversions, like these 3 pieces here are very important. So the webinar, application, and phone call. Because if you get people opting in to watch your webinars, they're going to go from your ad to a landing page. And a landing page is think of it like as a gate. Name, email, and then on the next page, once they submit that, they're going to watch your masterclass. So that whole process is conversions, right? So how many people are we converting from people who just saw your ad into opting in? How many of the people watching the masterclass to be booking a call in your calendar? And how many of those people are showing up? And how many of the people that show up that you speak with on the phone or on Zoom are actually enrolling as clients? So this whole piece is massively important. And for most people, they have no clue how to do this, especially from people that are not warm referrals. So if you think about this, all of this allows you to scale to whatever level you want to, because you're now tapping into audiences that never knew you exist, cold prospects. And a lot of our therapy clients, they're typically, and again, I'm not saying this is going to happen for you, a lot of our therapy clients that are running this are anywhere from about $30,000 to $100,000 per month in revenue. In fact, one of our clients, Russell, who works with porn and sex addiction in men, he just shared yesterday that his revenue for the month was $51,800, which is amazing. And you might ask yourself, Yuri, how on earth is this possible? Well, here's the thing I want you to be very open-minded about. Because you as a therapist, right now, you're most likely trading time for dollars, right? So $275 a session, 1 hour at a time. We have 12 sessions. We make this amount of money, and you burn yourself out. My question to you is this, is what happens? So let's just use a little chart here, okay? So you have revenue here, and you have impact here. And what happens, unfortunately, in a one-on-one type of model, which again, all of us health professionals and therapists have been sold into, we've been sold a lie. It's this, it's linear, right? And this means that you will get to a point. Okay, so this is supposed to say time. All right, so what happens is you're gonna get to a point, and let's say you can work, you have enough energy to work 12 hours a day. So I'm gonna put 12 hours a day right here. So what that means is you can see clients or patients 12 hours a day, and that means whatever amount of money you're charging is whatever you charge. The problem with this is that right here, you hit something that I call the capacity ceiling. So let's say that you charge $300 an hour and you work with 12 patients or clients per day. So 300 times 12, we'll just keep it simple, we'll call it $3,000 a day. Not too bad, right? 15K a week over the course of a month. Let's just call it 60K, 50K, whatever you want. Not too bad. But what happens when you go on a trip, right? Let's say you take a week off. What happens to your revenue? So let's say this is the revenue when you're working, and let's say you get sick, you're out of commission, you can't speak, whatever, or you go on a trip. What happens to your revenue? It plummets. Right? It literally falls off a cliff. You cannot make any money when you are not working. And that is a very, very bad predicament to be in. And that means you don't have a business. You have a job. You purchase the job. If you have a private practice, amazing. You're out of the system. Screw the system. It's broken anyways. That's actually one of our fundamental ethos at Healthpreneur. We're looking to fundamentally disrupt the healthcare system, which is not a healthcare system. It's a sick care system. It's completely bullshit. And it doesn't work no matter where you live in the world. Anyways, I digress. So you as a business owner, quote unquote business owner, you need to have a business that works on your behalf. And if you have a business where you don't get paid if you take a week off, and also the other thing too, is what happens to your clients? What happens to your clients, the patients or clients you're working with, when you are not there for a week? Do they get helped? Are they able to make progress on their own? No, they're not. And that's a fundamentally flawed business model for you and for them. So how do we solve this? Well, we have to be open to a different model of care. And what that means is when you look at enrolling people through the perfect client pipeline, you have two options. Option number one, and I'm going to put this in red, is more one-on-one. So you can certainly bring people in, work with them one-on-one, and that's totally fine. In fact, a lot of our clients start there. But the problem is that it's not scalable. Okay, so you end up burning out, probably feeling burnt out already. No bueno. Option number two is what we call the Dream Come True system, DCTS. And very simply, think of this as a group coaching program. Okay, so how do we build out a group coaching program? There's three components to it. I'm going to talk about these in a second. But first, I just want to have a little kind of come to Jesus moment here. We've helped a lot of therapists. We've helped a lot of regulated health practitioners. And one of the biggest concerns they have is my governing board doesn't allow me to do this. I'm licensed in New York. I can't say the word trauma. Listen, I understand, but at the same time, I don't care, right? I'm not saying go against the rules and break the laws and stuff. I was a certified kinesiologist when I came out of school. And when I started my business in 2005, this is many years after I had that designation, the governing board said, you can't do this stuff online. And so what I told them is take this CK and shove it up your ass. I don't care. I don't need the designation because you can never take my skills and knowledge. Now, I'm not saying you have to give up your designation. Our clients don't, okay? What I am suggesting is being open-minded to considering working with not patients, but clients in a coaching relationship. Now, how do you define coaching versus therapy? I mean, honestly, there's probably a lot of gray area. But in case you're wondering about this, how every one of our clients does it is you're just very clear in the client agreement. This is a coaching relationship. I'm not your primary care physician and I'm not your therapist, right? And so the nuances of how you do that, obviously there are ways, we help our clients kind of, navigate that properly, because we're never going to do anything that's going to be black hat or remotely shady. But I do not want to allow stuff like that to hold you back, because I've been at this for 20 years. And do you know how many times that has been an issue? Zero. Like, not once, whether we're working with medical doctors or therapists or whatever, not once has that become an issue. So you have two options. You can work as a therapist one-on-one and be really like, I'm like, this is the only way I can help people. That's great. That's an amazing decision for you. Just understand that you will always be a slave to the clock, and you will always be in the capacity ceiling, or like you will always be like, that's where it stops. And you will always have this scenario where when you don't work, you don't make money. And that's totally fine if you want to stay there. And I have no problem with you. If you're like, Yuri, I don't want to listen to this anymore. Great. I wish you all the best. That's option number one. Option number two is you are open-minded to consider what a group coaching program could look like. So as I just mentioned, my client Russell, he works with men in porn and sex addiction. When he came in to working with us, there's like, I can't see how I can make this happen. Like, these guys are like, there's no way they're going to open up. There's no way they're going to show up in a group setting to talk about this stuff. And because he worked in a actual addiction center for many years, he was actually the clinical director. And he's like, there's no way. And all I'm saying is like, just be open-minded, because what Russell's been able to do, number one, he's made about 3 times as much revenue as he was making before. There's no more waiting list, aka a suffering list. He has way more freedom in terms of free time. So he works about half the number of hours. He makes about 3 times as much money, and his clients get way better results. He's running group programs as a coach, right? Not necessarily a clinical therapist here. But listen, like, the process is very similar anyways in terms of the outcomes clients are getting. Now they're way better. Way better. Because people suffer in isolation and we thrive in a community. So in terms of building out a coaching program, like, what does that look like? Well, there's 3 components. The first thing is a curriculum. In order to have a curriculum, you have to have a single target market. So for Russell, for instance, sex and porn addiction, single target market for men, very clear. Everyone goes through the same process. Like, it's not like he has some of that and then like women with depression after giving birth. Like, it's like one single target market. Everyone's on the same train, on the same track, toward the same destination. Then you have to start there. Otherwise, you can't build a business outside of your time. So what this does is it creates a tremendous amount of leverage, because now, even if you took a week off, your clients are still making forward progress on their own. They're going through curriculum on the internet, for instance. Like, you could host trainings and videos in a very sequential fashion that helps your clients move through their stuff on their own volition. So even when they're not speaking with you directly, they're still making progress on their own. And this is why our clients seeing way better results, because now the client is not dependent upon you, the practitioner, the therapist. They are dependent upon themselves in addition to the guidance of the coach or the therapist or the practitioner. So we are fundamentally flipping how people are getting helped. And our whole premise here is that the doctor of the future is the client or the patient, by empowering them to take more ownership and leadership of their journey and giving them a proven path to help them get there. So the curriculum is the foundation. It's very, very important. The second piece is the community. Now, obviously, I don't even know if you can read that, but it's community. If you have 1 client, there's no community. If you have 2, micro community. If you have 5 or 10 or 20, it starts to build. And the beautiful thing is that people will initially come for your coaching, but they'll stay for the community. And we've had clients, stay in our programs for 5, 6 years just because they love the community of other health practitioners and therapists, because no one understands, especially when you're building a business, especially online, no one understands what we do, right? How's that internet thing going, right? Like, no one ever says, how's that medicine thing going, right? No one understands this. Like, very few people, I'm assuming you're not too dissimilar, like friends and family and the closest ones to you, they don't understand what you do. In terms of, like, maybe they understand you as a therapist, but they don't understand the ambition you have, or the fact that you want to maybe break out of the mold and do things a bit differently. It's so powerful when you're part of a community of like-minded people who get you, and we're all a little bit nuts. So it's like, we want to find our community of other nuts, right? So your clients will feel the same way. Like, they'll be in a container of other people just like them. It's like, I'm not the only one. Oh my God, Sue is like me. Hey, and like, people will start to connect and they'll build friendships, and it's amazing. It is so powerful. And the final piece is the coaching. So I'll just put in coach. So you'll notice how the coaching, call it the one-on-one work, if you will, is at the top, but it's also the smallest piece of this puzzle. The curriculum and community provide a tremendous amount of leverage because the community supports itself, the curriculum supports the client to move through on their own. You as the coach or the practitioner or therapist are going to come on top of that for whatever, right? It can be a Q&A call once a week. It could be a one-on-one office hours type of setup where you offer 4 hours a week of 20-minute time slots for people to book in. And now you can have a one-on-one if you feel like you need to. Most of our clients actually move into just group coaching calls. And so, maybe they have 5 people on a call, maybe they have 10, whatever it is. Like our flagship coaching program, HBA, it's the Health Business Accelerator. We have 25 to 40 coaching calls per week in a group format, right? And we've coaching calls with 2 people on them. Sometimes there's 4, sometimes there's 10, sometimes in my case, like 20 to 30 people. But when you structure it properly, everyone benefits because some people ask a question that other people may not have wanted to ask. They get the benefit of the answer. Everyone gets, it's so powerful. And again, I share this from personal experience. There is not a single therapist that I've worked with, not a single one, in which case they have not found their clients get better results in a group coaching format compared to one-on-one. Even though when they came in, there's no way. I'm so special. My clients need me. Listen, I'm going to share something with you that might be hard to hear because we all have to understand this. You and I, we're not as special as we think we are. I'm not as needed and necessary or special as I think I am. If I did nothing in our business on the delivery side with our clients would be fine. It's amazing. I had this beautiful team of coaches around me, but it didn't start off that way, right? But the thing is, even when I started this business, it was just me. My clients obviously relied on me for sure, but there was still this curriculum that they were going through. And over time, I've just recognized that as I bring amazing people into our team that can support our clients other than myself, I'm actually not as important as I thought I was. And that's good because you don't want to be irreplaceable. Because if you're irreplaceable, then here's what happens. You keep coming back to this. When you don't work, you don't get paid. When you don't work, your clients don't get helped. And that's not a business. That is a job. Even if you purchased a clinic or a private practice or you're paying lease on something, you call it an LLC, whatever, it is a job that you purchased. And that's not good, right? You have no free time, you're burnt out, you have no scalability, and it sucks. And I share this because I was living that life for 7 years. So I totally understand this. So that is the model. That is the most effective marketing system that allows us to get in front of people who never knew you existed, bring them into your world, build trust with them. And I'm going to write this down because this is massively important, right? I have a whole framework around building trust. And one of the components of trust is goodwill. Goodwill is kind of doing what you say and adding value to people's lives in such a way that's useful. One of the ways that this is so powerful is that when people consume a 45-minute masterclass of yours, you're 45 minutes with them. You're adding value as opposed to a one-page download. There's no time on brand. There's very little value. So just that alone, the fact that people commit to the process, they're more invested in the whole thing. And that allows you to build more trust quicker with cold prospects. Now, is it going to build trust as well as inviting somebody over for Thanksgiving dinner? No, not at all. But when we compare the options in terms of how do we grow quickly and how do we time compress building trust, the perfect client pipeline is the most effective and it's the fastest way to grow your business, right? And this is exactly why our clients go from zero to wherever they go very quickly. Are there other business models out there? For sure. Do they work? 100%, right? But again, I've been online since 2005 and I've done everything you can possibly think of. I've done the whole media circuit. I've done I'm a New York Times bestselling author. I've been on the big shows and the podcasts, and all of that stuff is very, very powerful. If you're on a big podcast, that's one of the most powerful ways of building trust and lending, piggybacking on that person's credibility and trust with their audience. And those listeners or viewers come into your world and they're in. But again, you have no control over that. And if you want to play that game, by all means, add it into the mix. But I can tell you this, when you have a system like the Perfect Client Pipeline working 24/7 for you, and then you start doing stuff like that on top of it, it's awesome. If this is the first time you're on this channel, you probably don't know this, but for the first 3 years of Healthpreneur, I did nothing else other than Perfect Client Pipeline. I looked at how do we improve this? How do we improve conversions? How do we make sure the metrics make sense so we can continue scaling this? I actually had 2 clients like twist my arm and say, hey man, you got to get on Instagram. This is back in like 2017, 2018. I'm like, I don't want to take pictures of my lunch. They're like, it's more than that. So I share this with you because one of the biggest dangers you face not only is obscurity, but distraction. By trying to do too many things at once, you can't do any of them well. So part of our focus here is just doing one thing extremely well, and it's going to feel very boring. But I can promise you, boring leads to better, and better leads to bigger. So I wanted to do a lot of speaking early on in my business journey, right? So I'd do different speaking gigs and whatever, and I would speak to different speakers whose lives was speaking, right? They would travel 300 days a year. They had to literally speak in order to make money. And I thought to myself, that sucks. I have 4 kids. I like being at home. I don't want to be traveling the world speaking all over the place. So the Perfect Client Pipeline, think of like your masterclass as giving a TEDx talk 24/7 to hundreds of people without having to be there. It's an evergreen masterclass that's working on, like right now, as I'm shooting this to you, we have hundreds of people this very moment who are watching my masterclass, and I'm not even there. I recorded it once, it's doing the heavy lifting, and a percentage of those people will take the next step into working with us. Now, if you want to see what our masterclass looks like, there's probably a link below this video in the description. You can actually go through this and kind of experience it for yourself. And obviously, if you want our help and you're an experienced therapist and you want to scale in the way that I'm showing you here, then guess what? The next step would be to fill out a quick application, and then you'd book a call with us, right? So you're actually like, we only practice what we preach. We only teach what we've personally mastered. So what's interesting is our clients come into our world having gone through the very thing we teach them how to do. And that's super, super important to us because there's a lot of people out there who haven't actually done what they're teaching. And it's given the whole industry a really shady, vibe. But when you're at this for 20 plus years, when you have a very clean reputation helping hundreds of thousands of people to better health and thousands of practitioners and therapists, like you don't last in business for 20 years without knowing what you're doing. Anyways, I digress. So that is the marketing system that we recommend for therapists and practitioners. Again, and just a little bit of a caveat too, this is for you if you're experienced. If you've been at this for a long time, if you're amazing at what you do, and you're just like, you just need a better way of getting people into your world, this is the way to do it. If you've never worked with a client and you're just starting out and you've got no money, I've got other videos on the channel that talk a little bit more about a manual effort way of getting started. But I'm assuming you're watching this because you're like amazing and maybe you're doing well, right? But you need a better way of bringing people into your world. The final thing I'll mention about this, which I just want to touch on really quickly, is what do you charge, right? What do you charge for a group coaching program as opposed to one-on-one? 2 things. 1, charge more than you think you're going to charge. So typically our clients start between $2,000 to $5,000 for an outcome. Okay, for an outcome. This is the key. Clients' results are here and your time is here. What a lot of therapists come in or a lot of practitioners are, again, bought into is this. Okay? Client results requires my time. So they're linearly related. We have to disconnect the two. So in a group coaching model, the client's results have nothing to do with how much time you spend with them. And that creates leverage, it creates freedom, and it creates better results for your clients. So when you say, okay, I'm going to charge $5,000 for a 12-week program to help someone overcome this issue, it's not about, well, in those 12 weeks, we're going to have 12 one-on-one sessions. Don't even play that game because now you've commoditized yourself. Okay, $5,000, 12 sessions, so I'm paying like $400 a session. This other therapist charges $350. You're done, okay? It's the price for the outcome. How you get them there is irrelevant. Because remember, if they knew what they needed, they'd already be there, but they don't. They need leadership and authority, which is coming from you. And you're like, listen, you have this problem. I'm the best in the world at solving this. How we're going to get you there is by doing X. Cool? Well, it's a lot more money than I wanted to spend. Hey, I totally understand that. Compared to what, right? So there's a whole conversational skill that has to be built here to be able to have these conversations with prospects, again, who are largely not going to be coming from doctor referrals. So if you want to build a business and you're able to tap into a market of cold prospects who never knew you existed, you have to build the skill in addition to having the system of communication. And you probably already have that, which is amazing because you're awesome what you do. And it's now a matter of being able to sell yourself. But we call this coach to close. This final piece, the call, we call it coach to close. It's not hard pressure sales. It's about how do you have a coaching conversation with someone, and you're probably already very well versed at this, which is essentially asking them questions where they reveal the answers to themselves. Sounds a lot like therapy, isn't it? Because here's the thing, people don't remember what you say, but they remember what they say. And so if you understand how to build the skill of asking the right questions to move people through a process so they feel comfortable and safe to working with you, you will do just great with this type of process. So that is the most effective marketing system for therapists who are looking to grow their private practice, especially if you want to look into growing online in a coaching type of model. This is what I recommend every single day of the week. If you want to go deeper, click the link below. You can actually go through our perfect client pipeline to see for yourself what it looks like. And if you'd like our help, you can certainly book a call at the end of that. Anyways, if you've enjoyed this and you want more, subscribe to the channel. I've got hundreds of other videos to help you grow a thriving business online. If you've enjoyed this one, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to seeing you soon. I've been building businesses online longer than most influencers have been alive. And I'm going to share with you in today's video the number one thing that's kept me in business for this long and the most important currency in an overly skeptical business landscape.